Itch. Hat Atelier. Episode 6. A Light on a Rainy Day is exactly the kind of episode that proves this series does not need constant danger to stay powerful. After the intensity of the Dragon's Labyrinth, the story slows down, but it does not become empty. Instead, it turns inward. This episode is about how Coco learns, how Qifrey teaches, how Agat handles pressure, and how Olruggio's arrival changes the balance inside the atelier. The title sounds gentle, and much of the episode is gentle. But the gentleness is doing serious work. Rain, cooking, small chores, and a quiet picnic become ways to explain what magic means when it is not being used for combat. Then, just when the episode feels peaceful, the ending reminds us that this world can move from warmth to crisis very quickly. Episode 6 begins after the Dragon Labyrinth incident, with the Atelier trying to settle back into daily life. Coco is still energetic and full of love for magic, but the episode makes it clear that enthusiasm alone does not make learning easy. She struggles when she tries to study in the same quiet, repetitive way that Agat does. Agat can sit, focus, and practice a spell again and again until it becomes sharper. Coco learns differently. Qifrey notices that difference and changes his teaching style instead of forcing Coco into one method. He brings magic into ordinary chores, especially cooking, and shows her that practice can happen through daily tasks. The point is not that Coco gets an easier path. The point is that a good teacher understands how a student thinks. The episode then gives the group a lovely rainy day sequence. Qifrey, Coco, Titia, and Richa prepare food, deal with the weather, and use magic to make warmth and light, even when the sky is dark. This is where the episode earns its title. Magic becomes a way to make a rainy day livable, not just a way to escape monsters. After the meal and the rain sequence, Coco returns to the atelier and encounters Olruggio, the watchful eye of Qifrey's atelier. He immediately reacts strongly to Coco's presence because she is connected to forbidden magic and the brimmed caps. Olruggio wants to report her to the Knights Moralis, but Qifrey stops him and argues that erasing Coco's memories would destroy her love of magic and the only path she has to save her mother. Olruggio reluctantly accepts the situation for now.
Later, Coco discovers that Olruggio created the glowing steps that first inspired her childhood dream of magic.
The episode ends with a cliffhanger. A nearby disaster has occurred after the heavy rain, with a caravan falling into the river and a child in danger. The most important emotional idea in episode 6 is that people do not all learn the same way. Agat learns through disciplined repetition. She pushes herself hard because she wants visible progress and proof that she is worthy of advancement. Coco, however, learns better when magic is tied to action, texture, weight, food, and immediate purpose. That contrast is not used to say one girl is better than the other.
It shows that education has to fit the student.
Qifrey's strength as a teacher is not just that he knows magic. It is that he pays attention. He sees Coco struggling and adjusts the lesson. That is a meaningful shift after the previous episode, because Coco has just proven that her different perspective can matter. Now Qifrey is helping her turn that perspective into practice. The rainy day sequence is the heart of the episode's beauty. On paper, cooking and eating outside during bad weather could sound like a small scene, but in Hat Atelier, small scenes are often where the magic system becomes most alive. Uses daily life to remind the girls that witches are not only people. They are people who can bring warmth, comfort, and possibility into ordinary moments. The use of magic under the rain makes the world feel tactile. We can imagine the heat of the food, the damp air, the shelter, the light, and the joy of making a miserable day feel special. This matters because it connects Coco's love of magic to something healthy. Magic is not just the forbidden spell that hurt her mother. It can also be care. Olruggio's introduction changes the politics of the atelier. Until now, Qifrey has been the adult authority around Coco, so his decisions have shaped our view of what is acceptable. Olruggio complicates that. As the Watchful Eye, his job is to make sure an isolated atelier is not hiding problems or breaking the laws of witch society. From his perspective, Coco is not simply a sweet apprentice. He is an outsider who discovered the secret of magic, became connected to forbidden, and has a link to the brim. That makes his alarm reasonable, even if his first reaction feels harsh.
He wants to involve the Knights Moralis because the law says such matters are dangerous.
Qifrey argues against him because the law's solution would erase Coco's memory, and with it her love of magic, her chance to save her mother, and Qifrey's lead in the brimmed cap investigation. The conflict between Qifrey and Olruggio is one of the best parts of episode 6, because both sides have logic. Qifrey is protecting Coco, but he is also bending rules and keeping sensitive information close. Olruggio is threatening Coco's new life, but he's also doing the job he was given. This makes the series richer. It refuses to make institutions simple. The Knights Moralis protect magic, but memory erasure is terrifying when applied to someone like Coco. Qifrey is compassionate, but his private motives around the brimmed caps still feel suspicious. Olruggio looks gruff and difficult, yet the episode later shows that his magic once created the glowing steps that inspired Coco's love of magic. That connection is beautiful, because it proves his work has already touched Coco's life before he ever met her. My original reading is that episode 6 is about the difference between magic as spectacle and magic as infrastructure. The dragon episode showed spectacular magic, danger, escape, and overwhelming power. 6
Shows the magic that supports daily life.
Cooking, drying, sheltering, lighting, warming, and making steps glow are not lesser forms of magic. They are the reason people fall in love with magic in the first place. Coco's childhood memory of the glowing steps is crucial because it shows that a small invention can change a person's entire life. Olruggio may think of himself as a watchful eye and inventor, but one of his creations became the first spark of Coco's dream. That is the quiet power of this episode. The ending shifts the tone sharply.
After an episode about warmth and learning, a man arrives seeking help because a caravan has fallen into the river and his son is in danger.
Agathe immediately wants to prove herself, which makes the cliffhanger feel connected to her inner struggle. She has spent the episode practicing, trying to be ready, and wanting advancement. Now a real emergency appears. Episode 7 is titled, "Who is Magic For?" And that title fits the question raised by this ending. Is magic for personal ambition, for law, for secrecy, for wonder, or for helping people in danger? After episode 6, I expect the next episode to test not only magical skill, but the purpose behind using magic. The rainy day gave the atelier warmth. The river disaster may ask what that warmth is worth when strangers need saving.